Alright folks, what we're going to do is a little different than the agenda. Waiting on someone to come in reference to the public hearing, and I called not long ago and he's running late. It's fine, we're still going to have the public hearing, but I'm going to move it down a little bit. And we'll stand for the pledge and then start the agenda. And somewhere in there we'll do the public hearing. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we remain standing as we always do, and remember our men and women in the armed forces, our veterans, and the passing of a local resident, Joan Scicciarini. And so I was just informed that another resident, John Baglivi, passed. That's sad. John was a many year member of the Montgomery Fire Department and other organizations.
40 years.
40 years. Public comment. Any public comment?
With respect to the new zoning law?
No. Anything.
Comment with respect to the new zoning law? I'll wait for that result.
Is there any other public comment? Yes. If you can just, we don't have the mic, so if you just be a little loud.
This is in regards to the new project for PennFed. I hope this village has the foresight to make sure this goes through. We need, everybody says, this is, it's always been like this, we can't have changes. We need changes. We need a tax base, and we need this project to go through. And it can't be, well, not in my yard, or not in my yard. This project needs the support of every one of you up there. We have to move forward. We have to come out of 1961 and move on.
Thank you. Any other comments? Yes.
Hi, Albert Anderson, village resident. I want to comment on something that I heard watching the recent meeting about the consolidation grant. It was said that the matching funds that the village has to put up are not available. And that's my question, is what happened to those matching funds? Because in order to even begin to execute on the grant, the village has had to demonstrate its ability to meet its match. So there was a commitment made when the grant was awarded that stated that the village could meet that match.
That was like,
now that is not available.
That was 4 to 5 years ago, before me.
Well, so, I mean, the study was ongoing up until sometime last year or the year before. So at that point, the village would have had to meet that match requirement. So that money should have been available in the budget somehow to meet what's.
It was not in the budget. Does anyone else want to answer?
So, what?
Public comment, I mean, those monies were spent when we had a company that was non-existent trying to get data and get questions answered, and they, I don't know, folded up, went out of business, not sure what, but you know the story, because we tried to contact them and get in contact with them for about a year.
Longer.
And then longer. And now we have 2 proposals out there which are going to be more than what we have that the matching funds will I think, pay for it. So the question is that, are we gonna have to go after a few more dollars? Is it something we're gonna have to make sure we can budget that amount for? The original dollars have been spent on half of a study where the data was, for lack of a better term, maybe inaccurate. So, don't we all wanna know what it should be?
Well,
Right way?
yeah,
But
but,
it's not something that's not gonna happen.
no.
I don't think anybody on the board doesn't want it to happen. I think we just wanna make sure we have, the funds budgeted appropriately. And when we hire whichever company we do decide to hire, it gets done completely once and for all and be done.
Well, of course, that's the case, but when the match would have been available when the state paid whatever invoices were being
Yeah.
paid, so all of the match money got spent and there's still state money available?
What's left wouldn't be enough to do.
Oh, so there is some left?
Yeah,
Oh, there is
Yeah.
money left? Oh, that's.
but it's gonna take more taxpayer money.
Because it didn't sound like that.
No,
at the
it's not
last-
enough. There's just not enough. So we have to either prepare for that in next year's budget, which I think will probably be something we are anticipating and probably do.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All right, I'll move on. New business, approved minutes from our regular meeting on the 19th of November, 2019.
So moved.
Second. Trustee Sabo and Trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda is quotes for the removal of and installation of a 500-gallon diesel fuel tank, which needs to be replaced. You have quotes there for the 500-gallon replacement of $18,750 from Optima. You have from Optima a quote for a 1,000-gallon tank, which is what our highway superintendent would like to see, for $21,115. You have a second quote for a 500-gallon tank, $41,270. And for a 1,000-gallon tank, same company, $44,465. And there's a third quote here from a company without a quote. They decided not to give us a quote. So it appears to me, have we done business, John, with Optima?
Yes.
So it appears to me, if we do a 1,000-gallon tank instead of the 500, the reason he wants the 1,000-gallon tank is that he was constantly having to check it because most of our equipment is diesel. And having to call up quite a few, times to get the truck to come down. So I guess I agree with you, John, that a 1,000-gallon tank would be better. And you have the quote there, the low quote of $21,115. But you can go with what you like. Questions?
Yeah, Mr. Jones, just because the numbers are so far apart, I mean, they went over everything, like they knew what they were bidding on?
Yeah, we've done business with Optima before. They were down there, they're the ones that actually check the tank, and it's a good truck.
I imagine too that this is gonna meet up with the DEC, the EPA's.
They're gonna actually take care of all that. They get the tank registered, they get rid of the tank, they get the permits from DEC, and they did all the tanks down there in the past when Mr. Boyce was down there, so it's the same company.
And that'll be all taken with the payment of this?
Say that again?
That'll be all included with the payment of this?
Yes.
The permits and everything else?
Yep.
Okay.
Is there a motion
I'll make a motion.
to go with Optima for the 1,000-gallon tank?
Correct.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, seconded by trustee DeSalvo. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next, we have a transfer being requested by our treasurer to take $10,000 from account 601-607-927 into account 831-40178, general fund into workman's comp. Motion to transfer.
So moved.
Motion by trustee DeSalvo, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, I have a resolution pertaining to 65 Schneider Avenue, whereas the Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees has been informed by the low bid contractor of 65 Schneider Avenue Drainage Improvement Project, Kelleher Construction, Inc., was unable to adhere to the project specifications for the price bid. Specifically, the contractor averred that they could not provide the shoring required as they set forth in the bid specification for the price quoted. And whereas the village board was unaware of the contractor's inability to comply with the specifications when it selected and awarded the contract for the project to Kelleher. And whereas in addition to the contractor's failure to provide a bid that encompassed all requirements within the bid specifications, the contractor failed to return the notice of award to the village within the prescribed time frame, resulting in the bid being deemed abandoned. Now therefore be it resolved that pursuant to the contractor's failure to adhere to the bid specifications when bidding on the project and failure to return the notice of award to the village within the prescribed time frame, the Village of Highland Falls Board of Trustees hereby rescinds the award to Kelleher Construction, Inc. of the 65 Snyder Avenue Drainage Improvement Project. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by trustee Ramus. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Howard. May I have roll call?
Trustee Libzy?
Aye.
Trustee Ramus?
Aye.
Trustee DeSalvo?
Aye.
Trustee Alward?
Aye.
Mayor D'Onofrio?
Aye. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is the appointment of a full-time police officer, Richard Santiago. Step 1, according to the union contract, maximum probation of 78 weeks. It's being recommended to go from part-time to full-time. You may remember, I don't know, seems like a year ago? What was it?
Last April, we hired him.
And he's here tonight, and I want to thank you. I remember these things, I don't know who else does, but you just served 6 months in Afghanistan.
Iraq, sir.
And so for that, I thank you. The board thanks you, the public thanks you.
Thank you, sir.
And it's glad to see you back home. I remember the baby, I was holding your, it was an infant. How old now?
He's a year and 4 months now.
Year and 4 months, I think it was tiny.
Yeah.
Okay. So, upon the chief's recommendation, if we could have a motion to appoint Richard Santiago as a full-time police officer here in the Village of Highland Falls.
Motion.
Starting at step 1 for a 78-week probation.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by trustee Ramus, seconded by trustee Livesey. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is, even though it's been done, is the covering the meters from December 1, which we did, to January 2 for the month. Free parking, hopes that folks will shop local. And if, as you see on the bags, it says its compliments are up by the Chamber of Commerce. It wasn't done by the Chamber, it was done by the village board. Those are old bags when the Chamber did do that. But things have changed, and those are old bags that say that. But please shop local as much as you can. I know a board member sitting up here did all his Christmas shopping in town. Martha.
I'll keep that in mind, I'll look for the packages. Thank you.
If you have to return them, just go downtown.
Just walk down.
So if I could have a motion that, for the record, that we decided to cover the meters for the month of December.
Motion.
Motion by trustee Livesey, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee DeSalvo, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And Mr. Mayor, if I could remind everybody, these are covered until January 2nd. So on January 2nd or on the 3rd, you can buy a sticker for $25, so you don't have to pump quarters in that meter. All you gotta do is go down to Village Hall. It's a great investment, and it can save you a parking ticket.
Thank you, we should promote that more. You're good, that's right. Okay, I see that our getting to be very famous assemblyman has just walked in. Thank you. We'll be, I'm sure you'll hear from Mr. Conley, and just give us a few minutes.
No problem, Mayor.
Did you bring the dog?
No, he's hanging out with Mom tonight.
All right, all right. So we have to reschedule some meetings on Monday, January 20th, which would be our regular board meeting. It's Martin Luther King holiday, so if we could move it to Tuesday, January 21, 2020. And if we could also move February the 17th, which is President's Day, to Tuesday, February 18th.
So moved.
Motion by trustee DeSalvo, second by trustee Howard. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. This came in late, so it didn't get on the agenda. Tonight, St. John's was going to have some music down at Memorial Park, but I guess because of the weather, etc., they've changed it to December 22, which is Sunday coming. So this Sunday coming, from 2:15 in the afternoon till 4. Insurance is in place. It's just a date and time change. If we could approve that.
I'll make the motion that we allow the change of the date.
Second.
Trustee Ramus and trustee DeSalvo, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I have bills and claims, $798,707.73. It seems high, looks high, sounds high to me, but we have to understand that we didn't have a meeting 2 weeks ago, so that's 4 weeks. Plus the paving is in there, New York State retirement payment is in there, and other large items that come due once a year. I have a motion to pay bills.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Livesey, seconded by trustee DeSalvo. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right. Are there some folks from the post office out there?
Yes.
Could you guys come in?
Good evening.
Hi, ma'am. Hi. Have a seat. Anyone else that you know is coming? Is there anyone else? Hey, guys. Hey, I didn't get any mail today. No, there's nothing in the box. Relax. Okay. Come on up. I know everyone in the room knows Darryl. Darryl Conley. So first I want to do is, your brother's in the back. He's not a front row guy. And I need to say hello to your mom, Lorraine. Thank you for coming, Lorraine. So you see a banner across Main Street, today's your day. All right. We're gonna take that down, give it to you. You can hang it somewhere, in your bedroom or somewhere. So Darrell, what I want to say to you and to everyone here, your mom, your brother, you know, it's nice having you at the post office. It's nice going in and seeing someone we know all our lives. Born here, raised here, went to school here, never left here. It's a good thing. It works for some folks. It works for you, it works for me and others. But you carry on, whether you know it or not. I know your mom will know this. I think you and your brother know a tradition of Conleys. The Conleys have been in this community a very, very long time, long before you, long before me. And they were doers. They were community-minded people. That's what you did. You're public service working at the post office. So you're no different than a lot of your ancestors. And for that, I thank you. The Conleys helped and continue to help keep this community thriving as it should. So I want to thank you and your family. Thank you. Tom, you want to come up? And this is yours. I'm going to let you go first. Congratulations.
Good evening, everybody. Assemblyman Colin Schmidt, representing beautiful village and beautiful 99th Assembly District. Thank you for allowing me to be here, Mayor. I have a New York State Assembly Certificate of Merit I would like to present this evening. On behalf of the 133,000 residents of our 99th Assembly District and the state of New York, I, Assemblyman Colin J. Schmidt from the 99th District, in recognition and achievement to you, Darrell, for 30 years of service to the Highland Falls Post Office, where that is one layer of government that touches every life in this room, every life in this community. No matter what, you can't get away from the post office, and certainly everybody here in this community understands that and understands the role that you have played, and we're grateful for that. So I hereby present the Certificate of Merit entered into the record of the New York State Legislature with today's date and my signature in our district. Congratulations.
Ma'am, this is our post, what is it, postmistress or postmaster? What's the?
Good evening, everyone. And on behalf of the Postal Service, I can't hardly see it, but it's a pin in here with the 30-year on it. There you go, you get a chance. But we wanted to present him also with a service award, and it says,
Yes,
it is with deep, sincere pride and appreciation that I present to you with this service pin in recognition of the 30 years plus career that you have achieved in the United States Postal Service. During your career, the Postal Service has experienced significant changes in the ways and promote and process and delivery mail to every resident and business throughout the nation and world. It is a credit to employees like you that we have been able to provide our customers with consistent, timely, and reliable service throughout our organization's transformation. On behalf of the United States Postal Service, I want to extend my sincere gratitude to you for commitment and dedication that you have displayed throughout your career. The high level of quality service that we maintain could not have been possible without the effort of employees like you. A record of this well-deserved recognition letter is being permanently placed in your official personnel folder. They know people all the time. Again, thank you for all that you have done throughout the career for the United States Postal Service, as well as for your customers we serve. Congratulations on reaching your significant milestone in your career. Throughout, I've only been a postmaster for 7 years. And in 7 years, working with Darrell has been a pleasure. So when I got there, the first year that I was there, I said, Daryl, I like working here with you. You know, he made it feel comfortable. Anything you asked him to do, he was available to do it, or he made time. So I said, okay, I'm gonna retire from this office. So I said, no one getting me out of here. So Daryl decided to leave me. I thought he would hang around after. So he did hang out over his 30 years, but I was trying to get him to stay a little longer. But he said, nah, he gotta go. So I gotta stick 5 more years out without him. So, but it has been a pleasure. It really has been a pleasure working with Daryl, and he knows that. And I know his coworkers feel the same. A couple of them still out delivering you guys parcels. So they gotta finish that up, but he knows that we're thinking about him because we hear him talking. His countdown started last year. So, and he had it down to the minute, to the day, to the hour. So we hate to lose him, but we're glad that he was able to leave out going healthy and all. But thanks again, Daryl, for your service. His coworkers wanted to say anything?
Tell us a secret. Tell us a secret. You heard it now. Okay.
Want to
And
tell no secrets
do you want to say something?
about this?
No.
Get it right?
Secrets, but, no, I've been at the Highland Falls Post Office 19 years working with Daryl, and, no, it's been a pleasure, you know? So it's always good working with you, and, yeah, that's all I'm saying. Congratulations.
So Daryl,
I'm sorry, Mr. Dunn. You know, we have people that retire from the office, and some do over the years, but this one, it got to me, not only because still is my employee, it was just that being at, like Mr. D'Onofrio said, he was born here, raised here, did his entire career. That's what caught our district office and our area office eye, because people come into the post office and they transfer to this office, that, you know, they make transfers and move. Daryl stayed in that office his entire career, served that entire career. And the sick leave that he had, and he's not in the best of health, they couldn't believe it, in the thousands of hours that he has of just sick leave, on top of his annual leave. So he has a lot of annual leave too, so he had enough that he could have went out sick for almost 2 years. But he stayed and worked every single day, talking about being dependent. I can depend on him for anything. But he had enough hours to leave and go out sick, and he could have got it because he, you know, don't have the greatest health. But he could have left us and went out for 2 years and got paid every single day. But he chose to hang out with us. So.
thank you very much. So Daryl, let me give you this certificate on behalf of the village board, awarded to you for outstanding service in the village of Highland Falls Post Office upon your retirement of, it's actually 30 plus years. On this date, the 16th of December, so please have that with the rest.
I just want to say something. I didn't know he was retiring. And all of these people here who've been in the community, I see Daryl, we see him almost every day. We're going to miss you. Most of these people I know have been here 20, 30, 40 years. We started with you. So thank you very much.
Ma'am? Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Okay, so we'll have the public hearing, we'll open it up at this time. It's 7:34. We do have more meeting after the public hearing, not much, but a little bit more. So, public hearing is open, and for the record, I have a copy of the legal notice. We have comments from the planning board, which I will give to the clerk to make part of the record. We have comments which will be made part of the record from Elise Max is the architect,
Nelson Pope and Voorhees.
attorney for
No, he's a planner.
planner. Okay, we have that here, which will be part of the record. We have one dated December the 13th and one dated November the 18th. These three documents will be made part of the public record. And so if you have a comment, and it's comments only that you would like to make on this issue, please say your name and as loud as you can, so the camera back there can pick it up, and give us your comment. Is there any public comment? Yes.
Gus Kucharadas, West Point, Old Town. What does the district encompass? This, what are the boundaries or the parameters of the, I just want to know what the parameters are. In other words, is the B1 switching over to this corridor, is everything included in the B1, or is it beyond B1?
There's a new district being created, B3, and as defined right now, it is,
Thank you, guys.
so right now, the new B3 district is being carved out of the B1 district primarily, and it is located on lots abutting the west side of Main Street, beginning at the entrance to West Point Military Academy and continuing south to the intersection of Cousins.
So it's from the gate down to Cousins Avenue, on this side of the road. This side of the street.
So it won't continue any further than Cousins?
There will be also some changes to the B1 district beyond that. B1 will keep running from Cousins down, past Mountain Avenue. We'll continue all the way down to, let's see, was it Pellwood Lake Road? And intersection of Walker Avenue. From that point, then a B2 district will go from there to 9W.
So it's a B1 and a B2, we created B3, we modified both B1 and B2 in terms of height, et cetera. At least that's what is proposed at this point.
So I'm just trying to get coordinates here. I'm sorry, Gus, can you do me a favor when you just stand up? Yeah, 12 letters. I'm just trying to get coordinates on the other side of the highway where my town market is. Will that extend to Ondura Park, or will that stop at Regina Road? Or it's not included?
Exactly, it's only the west side.
Only on the west side?
Yes, it's this side, west side.
At this point in time,
There's been no discussion on the east side by us. Any other comments? Yes.
Edward Dunn, Holland Falls, New York, 4 Revolutionary Road. All right, 3 things. We know that you carved out from the West Point gate to Cousins Avenue. In my own personal opinion, that's not far enough. Number 2, how deep does it go? 1 lot deep? Well, you're saying 1 lot deep, but the proposal that you have now encompasses more than 1 lot deep. So does that require a special exception?
so are you suggesting to go further down and incorporate more than just the...
Absolutely.
Well, he's saying 2 things. He'd like this, if I'm right, you want to see it go further past Cousins, and your question is how deep does
I
it
would
go?
like it at least to go to Mountain Avenue. furthermore, it could actually go down to across the street from, let's say where the HSBC is. They have a big piece of property there, it's excellent competition. So now, you're gonna give one party all these advantages, and give another party come in, and you're gonna give them all the disadvantages of having to prolong their,
Well, we're not giving anything to one.
gives you that perception, all right? Okay.
That's not the intent, and it's not
Well-
structured that way.
It looks like it. All I'm saying is, open it up, have some more competition, maybe bring more people.
Where was your ending point, as you mentioned?
Basically, ALN.
Which I am not.
ALN.
And you're suggesting that the B3 be extended?
Yes. Why not? They should have every advantage that you have down here at West Point here. If you just take HSBC, that's a big lot, it's already had a big parking lot. Put a parking garage in the back, you can build virtually the same thing down here.
That's in B2 now? That's in
That's in
B2?
B2.
It's in B2 now?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
But in B2, you're only proposing another 15 feet in elevation, which brings you up to 40 feet, or 45 feet. So why not make it a center?
okay.
All right? And the other thing was, basically what you got now is make order for one project. And I would also suggest, and I think we suggested it with our planning board, of moving it all the way back to Church Street. You have a piece of property, like you have a church now, it might be a lot of business, right? It goes all the way back. So you're gonna have to cut that property in half, have to get all kinds of changes.
So you want, your suggestion is to change from Thayer down, forget about down to where, right now this says Cousins, you'd like to see it go further.
Go
But you're
down.
saying,
Open it up.
you're saying include the east side of Church Street?
I would put the zone back that far. You have property, let's say Sacred Heart Church goes out of business. You have a property there that goes from Main Street to Church Street. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna cut that property in half now? And say, well, where the church is, you could build something, but back to that, you're gonna have to go through a lot of zoning changes.
Mr. Dunn, are you suggesting this, is this in, we just got your report. So
Yeah, if
is
you
this-
read it, it's in there.
Okay. So this is a planning board. I know that.
Yeah.
I'm saying you're representing the planning board.
I'm representing myself right now.
But the
Planning
comments
board
you
is
just made,
representing by that other.
the comments that you just made, are they in
They're
here?
basically taking out what we discussed with the planning board. Okay?
Thank you.
That's it, thank you.
Yes.
Alex Smith, 3 Lake Street. So you have our letter, there's 8 points. I'm not going to state them now, but I would just like to echo some of the things that Mr. Dunn said. I think it's good planning to make these changes and encourage this kind of growth. Goes on in all kinds of villages. It's smart planning, it's been good for communities. Our comments are just ways that we believe will strengthen the law, make it better, make for further competition. In regards to what Ed just said, I think in particular those things we talked about when it relates to going back are best said in the previous letter when we were asked to make some recommendations. So I think when it related to Church Street, we talked about increased height, but we said the height should be based off the Main Street corridor, but we did, theoretically believe that some of those properties could turn over. And if we went all the way back, it could be one project, but we would probably base the height on the Main Street elevation as such. But again, I agree with Ed in the fact that Dale Avenue seems to make sense. Allow the project to be right for something similar. So I would advise, ask the board to definitely strongly consider that. There's one project that's been proposed, but we're writing this whole law for the future of the village here. So definitely take that into account. We gave you a lot, we tried to knock it down, but we're always available to make some comments. And thank you for your time. Thank you.
Any other comments? Yes.
Helen Malco, I live at Perry Avenue. This proposed building is literally in my backyard, and I have obviously a lot of concerns. I was unaware of the scope of this project until it showed up in the Times Herald newspaper. I think it doesn't fit aesthetically into this hometown USA village of ours. I have a lot of concerns about the parking in our area. Where are these people going to park? These people at this hotel? Where are we going to park as the residents? What about our services? How is this going to affect our water, our sewer, the underground utilities that were just newly put in there, the above ground utilities? What's going to happen with them? I'm concerned about the setback. My property line, how far back is this building going? What about the emergency vehicles? Is there going to be room for fire lane? Why do we not have a picture of your proposal here? I don't understand this. And we didn't see the view from the back of the building. What are we going to be looking at? Not from Main Street, from the back, from our properties.
Ma'am,
When did it become 6 stories high? Do you think that's reasonable height for this village? The church steeples are probably not that high. We saw no balloon tests like they had behind the supermarket when they wanted to build a cell tower. We could see, oh, that's where it's going to be. Can you see it from your house? Are you going to be seeing it from Lake Street, Fort Putnam? Why is this? It just feels as though it was behind closed doors. And it is in my backyard. How is this going to affect my life in this village? My family's life. I'm all for growth, but I think it's like way out of whack. The height is way out of whack.
So I'll say 2 things. If there's any comments that the attorney or my engineer want to make, fine. But I will say to you, this is not a meeting. There's no picture here of the hotel because that's not what the meeting is about. That's not what the meeting's about.
It's
Number
to
2,
change
there
the
was
zones.
no meetings. There were no meetings that were in public or and private. They were all in public. There's been several meetings. I have communicated that with you. Again, no secret meetings or whatever you called it, and definitely there's no picture because that's not what this is about. Maybe indirectly, as was said over here, but this is about a zoning change.
The zoning change to do what? Build a 6-story
Let me just step in here, by the way, Mr.
building?
Yeah.
There was, as many of you are aware, a petition to change zoning on a very specific parcel. And this board looked at that, looked at the renderings at the time, and it's final now, and rejected it. That was rejected outright. However, the village board reviewed the comprehensive plan again and decided that to encourage economic development all along the Main Street corridor from, I guess, top to bottom, it wouldn't be a bad idea to revisit the zoning in total for that area, not the entire village, not 9W, but simply to try along the lines of revitalization of the Main Street area, which, as you know, this board has been talking about and the prior board was talking about for quite some time. So they went back to the comprehensive plan and they've proposed changes to the zoning that affects everyone and all parcels that are included in that. And this is a public hearing. The board will take comments. They've already received 2 groups of comments from the planning board, and they will evaluate and possibly
change this local law to reflect some of the comments that they are hearing here tonight.
So my concerns should be addressed to them?
I think if you're concerned with a particular project that is not in front of this board, but maybe in front of another board, then that's the board you need to discuss.
What board would that be?
I don't know, you're suggesting that there's a project. There's no project in front of this board. There may be a project in front of other boards in the village, I don't really know. Is there?
Just in fairness, there is a planning board meeting on Thursday.
Okay,
The proposed project will make its initial appearance,
okay.
but it's very
So,
preliminary.
I don't know,
The planning
did you
board
hear that?
meeting is meeting on Thursday,
This Thursday, at what time?
7 p.m.
At Town Hall? There's a
It's not a
meeting.
public hearing, it's
So-
an initial appearance for that project, other things are on the agenda. We meet every month, but again, and nothing of that scope would ever be approved without a public hearing and full environmental review.
So Mr. Smith, will there be renderings at that meeting, or that you're aware of, or you don't know?
You know, I haven't seen the renderings in what I got, but I just got another package, so.
So ma'am, they may have renderings at that, at the planning board meeting that may give you an idea of what they're proposing there.
And also, I saw the newspaper article. That's a newspaper article. That's a developer who decides to provide something to the local newspaper to publish.
Well, it's.
This board is not
coincidence
bound
that
by anything
you're one
that's in the newspaper, nor is the planning board, nor is the zoning board of appeals.
I'm sorry, I don't know your name, or the gentleman.
I'm Elise Tree, and I'm the village attorney.
I'm Todd Atkinson, I'm the village engineer.
Village engineer, okay.
And you know what? You have many very good questions. But one I want to point out is, what does the back look like? To be honest with you, I've only seen, listen, I've seen a picture. I didn't see the paper. I don't read the Times Herald Record or the News of Highlands. But I have seen a rendering, a board. If that's what was in the paper, that's all I've seen. And what you don't see is the back. I've never seen the back of the building. I don't know if there's windows back there. I don't know what's back there. I haven't seen. That's a good question, because you live right there.
There will be renderings of the front and the back at the meeting?
I don't know. That's.
Hopefully?
I can answer that if you like.
Yes.
I mean, usually there's not renderings in the beginning, but the applicant, a representative of the applicant is here.
I feel so bad. I should stand. My name is Greg Laux. I'm the representative of, I'm a veteran. I represent the owners, and I feel so bad for you because they knew that this would happen. They knew that if they built a structure like this to be able to provide for the revenues they need to make this viable financially, that they were going to just cover up some people. It's a 5-story structure. They didn't do a balloon test because today's technology, we don't have to do that. So we've superimposed all of the elevations, and we have all of the renderings from every side that show all the windows and everything else. But the bottom line is, to be perfectly honest, is that there are going to be people behind this building who are going to be obstructed, if you will, because you're not, the view that you had before is going to go away. So it's a 5-story structure. What's that? No, it's not a done deal. That's why this is all here, and that's why it has to be for the planning board, and all of these concerns need to be really heard. And in the end, it's not the owner's decision at all. It's going to be the village determining what should it do for the good of the community. And that sounds horrible, because some people in a case like this may be harmed, like you, because you've been living back there, and you're going to have this big structure. It's not horrible looking. It's very nice. It's got a lot of windows. It's going to be quiet. They've taken all of this into account. And I probably can't assuage your concerns this evening, but I'll be there Thursday evening, and I'll make sure we have renderings so you can see what it is they're doing. So 5 stories, 105,000 square feet, a big light court, and I think that Rick Minicozy, who's the lead investor, and by the way, I would say this, Rick Minicozy is a lead investor. He also is a lead investor at the Hotel Thayer. This is a fully funded project, so it's not one like others that we've seen that may last years before it finally happens. If things move the way he hopes, they're ready to break ground in April or March, or
All
March.
right,
or
you know what
April.
you know what I need to do, and I'm glad that you said what you did for them, because they would have concern. But I need to bring it back to the topic
I can
that we're
answer
here
your
for,
questions later.
which is public hearing on zoning. Is there any other questions or comments?
I'd just like to make one more comment again. I want to make sure that it's understood that the planning board functions under the zoning laws that exist today. This board is responsible for creating the zoning, not only the zoning as it exists, but looking forward to see how the zoning might improve the village. And that's what this board does. So this board doesn't approve projects. It does not have that authority. It has given all of that authority to the planning board. The planning board is governed by the zoning law, so that's the connection there.
And I'd like to just say that, speaking for myself, there's concerns I have. I mean, there's concerns that I have, there's questions that I have. So absolutely, as the mayor said, it doesn't end here. This isn't it. There's a lot more to go out there. There's a lot of questions to be answered. And there's concerns, and there's all of the above. So don't feel as if, though, this is it. Okay?
Any other comments?
I just want to make a last comment. If the village truly wants to make an impression or give it an economic boost in the arm, I would suggest reviewing some of the other parcels that we have, some of the larger parcels on the other side of Main Street, especially from Havens Road all the way to New Park, and also the hacienda to the funeral home. For example, we have, our motel is on 1.2 acres. If this came to fruition on our side of the road, we would knock down the 51 units that we would have and build a 250-unit hotel. So if you want to see big economic improvements, think about the other end of the village as well, and also extending it from maybe Cousins all the way through, including the hacienda, because big parcels sell well and are more developable than smaller parcels purchasing in whatnot. So it's just economic. So.
Okay. Yes.
Martha Howard, the village. I really like what I hear from Mr. Dunn and Mr. Smith, including going up to Church Street would definitely be beneficial. I live across the street from a school that is all but defunct. To have that sit there without, as you said, a property being divided in half because it goes from Main Street to Church would be ridiculous. I would rather see any new development, I don't care if it was 6 stories, than have a derelict building, which unfortunately, the way the church property is going, and that building is not in great shape. So if it were possible at some point down the road to be developed, to have that already in place just makes a whole lot of sense. We need revitalization. We're not going to get it without Main Street. And I also agree with carrying it down further. That's where the building should take place. This place has to be revitalized. We're not going to survive as residents, and I'm sorry if some people are upset, but we can't let development stop based on a small number of people. So I hope you do take that into consideration.
I have a question. I'm very confused about the zoning
Can you state
and
your
the
name and
planning.
address?
Oh, Rosemary Woodsnitsky. So you're saying the planning board decides the zoning of property?
No.
No. What is the
Only
planning
the
board?
village board.
The what?
Only the village board governs zoning. The planning board takes the zoning and administers it. So an application goes before the planning board, and they decide whether it should get approved or not, what kind of conditions might be put on it. And they're governed by the zoning law.
But the village board has the final say.
Not of the project, no, only the zoning. Only the zoning.
Zoning board. All right.
Any other comments?
Actually, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to speak as resident. So I heard a lot of good stuff tonight from people, and we're gonna digest that. And I don't know if anybody in the room is aware, but I'm gonna hazard to guess, probably 7.5, 8 years ago, the village planning board had brought up a waterfront overlay district to try to get things built on the east side of Main Street. So I think we should also look at some of the changes that were recommended in that as we move forward.
If there's nothing further, I am not going to close the public hearing. I'm going to extend it until our next meeting, which is Monday, January the 6th, 2020, at which time we'll continue the public hearing. We'll see where it takes us from there. The record can show at 8 p.m. public hearing was kept open but closed for tonight. Thank you. Okay, a few things. End of the year, I want to thank, on behalf of the board, we want to thank the Highland Falls Fire Department, Fort Montgomery Fire Department, and the Ambulance Corps for all they do 365, 24/7. A tremendous amount of volunteer hours if you took the three of those organizations that protect us. I want to thank the Cornwall Ambulance Corps for providing health care to us while the ambulances are being, new ones are coming and old ones are getting fixed. Mutual aid in this community works very, very well. So I want to thank the Cornwall Ambulance Corps. I thank all the committees that work all year. Planning Board, Zoning Board, so many others, the Village Beautification, all the committees that do so much for this community. The Village Board will be doing a newsletter beginning of next year that will be sent out to all the residents. I mentioned the meter bags. I've talked about Central Hudson and working out a, could you ask Bobby to take it outside? I want to tell the community that, as I said at one other meeting a time or two ago, the village received a check from Central Hudson for $15,000, and which was a very small partial payment, and now we have received a check for $115,000. A deal that I worked out with them, along with the village engineer and the village attorney, for all the work that they did here in the village. That $125,000 is part of the, all of that will go towards all the paving that we just completed. And again, I'll be doing a full brief on where all the money has come from to do all that work. This is a copy of the check for $110,000. Again, that's a total of $125,000 from Central Hudson. I'm very proud of this, very happy about this. This works very good for the taxpayers. I put a tree, an artificial tree in the village lobby, village hall lobby, with nothing on it but white lights, and for folks to come in and put notes, cards, letters, whatever they felt like doing on it that would go to our veterans in Afghanistan. This is the tree with all the different Christmas cards on it. They've been taken off now and sent. I have 2 here out of probably nearly 50. One says, so many of us take for granted our freedom. If it wasn't for you guys fighting for us, you know what would become of us. Please keep your head up. Always choose the right way to do, and thank you for all that you do. These were mostly done by children. Dear heroes, I love this one. Our hearts go out to you with so much love and emotion, thinking of you so far away, fighting for our beautiful country. We cannot express enough our appreciation for you and all the work and sacrifices you have made. So those are 2 of almost 50 letters. They were really nice. So the troops will get those, and I'm sure they will appreciate them. I sent a letter to the librarian, Leslie Rose, just a note to say thank you for all the events you held at the library, which was last Saturday, to see all the young parents and children brought much joy to me. Again, thank you, and also to the Girl Scouts Division, to the National Junior Honor Society, and of course, Santa. That note was delivered to the librarian. This Wednesday, I have a department head meeting at 10 a.m. if any of you folks up here would like to be there. Thursday at 9 a.m. I have scheduled a meeting at 9 a.m. With Dr. Sheboy, other folks from the school, the Old Guard Hotel, and the Southgate Flats, the village attorney and the village engineer, to talk about impact aid. Friday I have a meeting at 10 a.m. with Orange and Rockland about putting the utility lines underground. January the 2nd, I have a meeting with Sandy Cutson pertaining to the ALO property. I will come back to the public with the results from all those meetings. Cell tower. I haven't heard much about the cell tower lately, but we had a meeting recently with some folks. And we have a consultant that's being paid for by Homeland Security, so the village taxpayers aren't paying for that. There's a lot of deals we make that benefit the village taxpayer. They are now looking at a micro and a macro. Micro tower and a couple small macro towers, which we have suggested to them areas for the micro, which would not be near any residents' homes, to see if this will work. So they're gathering the data. We'll give it to our consultant. Anything you want to add on that, Elise? That's where we are.
Yes.
Talk to the board about the newsletter that I mentioned. I have a couple of options for newsletters. I will read this statement. Oh, I know what I want to do. So, Murray, I know that you know Santa Claus.
I know.
You know, right?
I know.
Okay. So, would you give this to Santa Claus?
I will.
No? You fooled me. I thought it was you, but it's not. Thank you. This past April 2019, I attended a meeting at West Point sponsored by the Garrison Commander. The meeting heading was Army Community Partnership Intergovernmental Support Agreement. The GC's office at West Point has been tasked by the Department of Army to investigate ways to reduce costs for contracting of various items with their budget. At this meeting, I approached the Garrison Commander on providing services to them that would save them money and a way for the village to make revenue. Two areas among many others that I was interested in was winter salt and paving. We will be providing salt to West Point in the amount of, this year, 1,000 tons. With the potential next year to increase this amount to 4,000 tons a year. They will get this salt from the same folks that we receive our salt. This salt will be delivered by the salt contractor. There will be no village employees involved other than making the order for West Point. And from that 1,000 tons this year, as the village is a municipality that is allowed to utilize the state bid for salt contracting, and West Point cannot. With the village providing 1,000 tons this year at a reduction to West Point and a profit to the village of Highland Falls. These dollars can be utilized for village improvements. These dollars, of course, will be up to this village board to decide where they go. The village of Highland Falls has proposed to sell rock salt at a price of $98 a ton delivered. This will result in approximately $28,000 profit to the village of Highland Falls the first year. So that's on 1,000 tons. Next year, if we give them, which I'm sure we will, 4,000 tons, you do the math, and it'll be over $100,000 the village will receive for next year. That's good money for the village. So I'm proud that worked out. And last thing I have is this, and this has been talked about and written about, talked about and written about again. And I'm reminded that the squeaky wheel gets the results. So we've asked, we've begged, we've written nice letters, we've asked again, and we've asked again, and we've asked again, and we've written letters again. And nothing seems to happen about the State Road 218 coming into the village of Highland Falls, heading north past the ambulance corps. It's a disgrace. You can't even avoid the potholes any longer. If you avoid the potholes, you will probably be pulled over by a police officer who might think that you are intoxicated, because you actually have to go on the other side of the road. So, I've asked for a meeting with Colin Schmidt, James Skoufis, DOT. I will let the board know when that is, because I would like you there to back this up. But something has to be done. Now, it's the beginning of winter. So they were down there a few days ago putting blacktop into potholes. And they were banging the blacktop with a flat shovel. Not a roller, with the back of a shovel. That's unacceptable. That's like totally unacceptable. So anything that they do down there, and in fact what they did do down there a few days ago, last week, has now come up because it's winter, because the plows are out there. So for me to ask the community to be patient, I'm not going to do that, because I'm not patient any longer. But I will tell you, something will be done. Something will be done now, because it's a disgrace. Now everyone says, including me, when I write about it or talk about it to our elected officials, it's a shame that the main road leading into the premier military academy in the world, not this country, in the world, looks like that. Like, that's not right. There's something wrong there. But not only for the premier military installation in the world, for us. To be honest with you, for us. I have to travel over that. You must travel over.
Landmarks. There are roads better in Afghanistan than there are.
You know, and that's it sounds funny, but it's the truth. We found hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe it was a lot more than that, to do the old Storm King. I don't remember the old storm getting being that bad, that we had to spend all that money there. For this 218, that's 218 too. This should have been 218 that they should have done. So that's it from me. I just want you to know that it doesn't go unnoticed, you know, after a while you kind of have it, so that's that. Murph?
Just a couple things. First, there's so many people to thank about all the festivities for Christmas that have gone throughout this community, from the Howland Falls Fire Department, Fort Montgomery Fire Department, Town of Howland's Police, the Howland Falls Police, Mr. Mayor, the Village Board, the Town Board, Vision, the Library, Chamber. Everybody's gotten involved this year. I mean, it's really beautiful when you go down on Main Street, you look up and down, you can see the lights and everything else. I really mean from different municipalities that you go to, it really sparkles out there. It's really, really nice, and I really appreciate everybody getting together and working together like this, because I got to tell you, it's all being done for those, especially for the children, and I know that lately these children have really enjoyed what they're seeing, and they're really having a good time. And it makes a good meaning for the village of Howland Falls and the town of Highlands. With that said, something else I'd like to say, that for my family, we've been here in this community over 50 years. There's residents that have been here, and as I look out here, I see some people that can add on to that. There's some residents that have been here for 20 years, 10 years, maybe 5 years. But how many years you've been here in this community really doesn't mean too much, but what it really means is that everybody has concerns about there's so many projects that are going to take place in this community. So if you've been here for 50 years, you may be a little old school, a little old-fashioned about some things. I know I am. If you haven't been here that long, maybe you're used to big projects going on and all of that. But I think what's most important about all of this is for everybody to respect each other. If somebody has an idea or somebody has an opinion on something, I wouldn't knock that person, just respect it. And it's going to make all of this go a lot better in this community. Because I have to tell you, in my opinion, and Mr. Mayor, please jump in on this if you could. In the next couple of years, there's going to be a ton of projects taking place in this whole community of the town of Highlands, the village of Howland Falls, West Point getting involved, Bear Mountain, Fort Montgomery. There's a lot that is going to take place here. And we, as the taxpayers in this community, I've looked on my taxes. I know taxes are much of a concern here. They're a concern for me and everybody. Just because we're board members, it's a concern for us. And it has to be livable here, and it has to be affordable here, and you have to be able to want to live here. But please, as this takes place, just please recognize the fact that we're all living together here, and just please respect everybody's opinions. And that's all I have to say.
So real quick, just want to wish everybody Merry Christmas. Last year and the year before, I did bring up something that goes on after Christmas. And for all the outdoor enthusiasts out there, it's called the First Day Hike. I'm going to say probably around 7 years ago, there was 18 of them in state parks around the area. It has ballooned to over 60 this year. Some of the ones that are going to be close to us are Sterling Forest State Park. That starts at 10 o'clock in the morning. There's one at Hudson Highlands State Park. There's one over at the Rockefeller State Park Preserve. There's one at Minnewaska State Park, Old Croton, the Aqueduct State Historic Park, Taconic State Park. So these are some local ones, and it's a great way to start the new year to get out and get a little exercise.
A couple things. Echo some of the board's comments about all the different organizations that helped out. Main Street looks pretty darn good, and it's something we keep improving every year. So a big shout out to the folks that helped with that. A shout out to the Highland Falls West Point Rotary Club, who, in conjunction with myself, which I started a coat drive about 3 or 4 years ago. There's some other different organizations in town that do it too, but I did it through the bank, Walkill Valley, and they teamed up with me this year, and we got a very good number of coats that are down on at the branch. So we'll be getting those both distributed locally, and also I've connected with the Salvation Army, and that's who I work with. But Rotary also did bell ringing at the MyTown Marketplace for 2 days, and so we were able to roughly collect around approximately $700, so that will also be going to the Salvation Army. Quick comment about what we talked about tonight. I appreciate the Consolidated Planning Board's information that they gave. As most of the board members know, I have some similar concerns that were voiced tonight. But it's a process. This is one of probably a month of Sundays that if this does get approved and if a potential project does go forward, that it'll have to be wadered by the planning board, which this is a compliment, not a negative. You guys are much worse at scrutinizing something than we are. So, much better, I should say. So that's a good thing. That's your guys' job. So, want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, whatever you happen to practice. And I don't think we have a public meeting before New Year's, so I can't believe I'll say this too, but Happy New Year's and Happy 2020.
Mr. Howard?
Yes, I say the same. Happy holidays, Christmas, Hanukkah. Last week, we had banners for the vets. It was very successful. We had everybody packed into the center. Went from World War II, Korean War, all the way down to Nam, and then over into the Middle East. A lot of people were there and they really enjoyed it. President of the Chamber, Jim Modlin, hosted it, and we're going to be putting back out banners next year. Kathy will also be working again like she did this year with that. The great events, I agree. The bake sale was really good at the library. Santa was a big hit also. The coat drive went on in the center as well as in the bank. That's going to help a lot of people and adopting families for the work. So I wish you all a happy new year, a lot of peace and good health. You know, as I get older, we say good health. Used to be, okay, happy new year. It's good health.
I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session on contract negotiation. I'd like to have a motion to go into executive session.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you so much.